So in this video, I'm going to show you how to rebuild the top end of this Volkswagen engine. We're going to change the rods, the pistons, and later on the heads and build it back up. So be sure when you're putting these bearings in, be sure everything's clean. Can't tell you enough. Wipe it out, wipe it out, wipe it out. Be sure you get your lock notches set in the notch. Put the bearing in there just like that, roll it in. It's not hard to do, it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, cap, same way. Then put the rod and the cap back together. You'll get busy, you'll forget about what's going on, and you'll mix them up. You mix the rods and the caps up, you're in trouble. Not a bad idea to do these one at a time. There's tons of information out there on the internet about building Volkswagen engines. There's tons of YouTube videos, but this one's mine. Don't want to beat on them threads with anything that can damage them. So one thing I want to take a minute and show you about torquing these rod bolts. I've already torqued them with my click wrench, my Craftsman click wrench, 30 foot-pounds. But one thing I like to do is I like to dial these rod bolts. That just guarantees me that they're set where they're supposed to be. Guarantees that I did what I'm supposed to do. One thing I want to show you right here. This thing right here is old. I'm 49 years old and I can remember this torque wrench my whole life, as far back as I can remember. My daddy built a lot of Volkswagen engines with this torque wrench right here. He didn't know what a click type torque wrench was. But this torque wrench right here, this is probably my prized possession in my toolbox. So we're gonna check these rod bolts with this wrench right here. That just kind of confirms to me that they've been torqued. Blake told me one time, said if it's good enough for my papa, it's good enough for me. So if it's good enough for my daddy, it's good enough for me. What I did there, I torqued them with a manual torque wrench, the click wrench. I torqued them to 20, used the dial, pulled them to 30. And then just so for my feel good, I hit them again with the click wrench at 30. So confirmed they're all torqued. Time to move on to the next step. To me, that's very important, torquing those rod bolts. Check, double check, recheck. All right, so just going to kind of show you what we've got done today. Just kind of starting to put some of the accessories on the engine. We're waiting on a set of heads. Steven's got to get with Mr. Ed. If you look right here, one of the two heads had helicoils in both spark plug holes. And then one of them, you see in this next picture, had a crack from both valves into the spark plug hole. Me, I would be afraid of that. So we're waiting on a set of heads now. So while I'm waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and start putting some other stuff on, some of the bolt-on items on, trying to get everything cleaned up, painted, get as much done as I possibly can. This is just one of them times, one of those items on this engine that you want to be super, super careful with. You could break a ring and not know it. Not have a circlip set in the ring groove. Just a lot of things could happen that you might not realize. This is another time that you need to check and recheck. That's what we're doing. Don't take for granted that your ring gaps aren't already set. Don't take just a second to knock the piston out and to check it. I'd rather know than not know. I painted these cylinders, something we used to never do, but I think it looks good. If you don't paint them, 6 months down the road, you look underneath the car and they're rusty. So I don't like that. That's another one of them items, like Uncle Jesse said earlier. 20 years ago, you wouldn't have cared nothing about that. He's probably right. So look right here. Just want to make sure, even from your oil ring, from your spacers, you want to make sure they're all opposite of each other. If not, oil can get right by them. And that ain't good. These things cost a lot of money. You need to do things right. Wipe all the... Used to call it cosmoline. I'm not sure what it really is. But make sure everything's clean. Gotta put a little sealer around that. That's kind of a... I've already got the inside snap ring in. So tapping on that wrist pin like I was, that's kind of my double check. So when I got down here Saturday morning, trying to put cylinders 3 and 4 on, I was trying to film it and do a kind of detailed presentation, and my focus kind of got turned away to other things. So trying to use the old ring compressor, trying to get the rings back in the cylinders correctly without breaking them, I broke a ring. So no big deal, things happen. I'll order a set of rings for it next week and we'll carry on. So just be careful, pay attention to what's going on. So that's going to about wind us up on the engine for the weekend. We've about done all we can do. We're going to be waiting on, of course, I've got to order a set of rings, and we're going to be waiting on the heads. There's plenty of other things to do. Trying to get the shop cleaned up. Got Herbie Griffith, our painter's coming in the morning to kind of evaluate Shane's truck and see what it's going to take to get it ready to go to the paint shop. So a couple other things I want to show you. Really excited to talk about the future of Riverbank Customs. As I told you before, I've bought a 70 model Volkswagen. It's going to be my personal car. Anxious to get started on it, but I got to get some other projects out first. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that car, making a lot of videos of that. You'll be seeing it at a lot of local shows and a lot of these big VW shows. Just a lot of things coming up, a lot of things we're going to be doing with it. We're going to be continuing on the shoebox project, trying to make some headway on it. But I want to show you some cool merch that we got last week. Steven, the guy who owns Red 67, he made these hats for us. Man, they are super cool, and everybody is really, really bragging on them. Huge shout out to him. We're going to be ordering some hats. We're going to be selling some merch here shortly. doing some hats and doing some t-shirts. So stay tuned for that. Check it out, see what you think. If you like this video, let me know. Comment below. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell people about it. Tell people about the future of Riverbank Customs.